first jump is just a plain hedge jump, and then...
Don't tell me anymore.
Some stars face trials that grip the nation. Others watch their lives unravel in front pages and courtroom dramas, ready to dive into the chaos that the studios desperately tried to bury. Here are 9 scandals that prove old Hollywood was far darker than the movies they sold us. Fatty Arbuckle. Roscoe. Fatty Arbuckle was bigger than Chaplin in 1921, pulling in millions and making audiences roar with laughter. Then came Labor Day weekend at the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco, and everything exploded. A wild party, a young actress named Virginia Rapp, and a tragedy that turned into a media circus. Rapp died days later from peritonitis, and the district attorney charged Arbuckle with manslaughter, claiming he caused her fatal injuries. The tabloids went absolutely feral. William Randolph Hearst's papers painted Arbuckle as a monster, inventing lurid details that had zero basis in fact. The trial became a national obsession. 3 separate juries heard the case, and the 3rd jury actually wrote Arbuckle an apology after acquitting him, stating there was not the slightest proof of his guilt. But Hollywood didn't care about innocence. Paramount canceled his $3 million contract. Every theater in America pulled his films. The industry blacklisted him completely. His career was annihilated. He tried directing under a pseudonym, scraping by, broken and humiliated. When he finally got a small comeback role in 1933, he died of a heart attack the very next day. The man who made millions laugh died penniless and destroyed by lies. The scandal triggered Hollywood's first major moral panic and led directly to the creation of the Hays Code, the censorship system that would strangle creativity for decades. One party, one accusation, one dead career, and an entire industry transformed by fear.
You're away there now?
No, I'm going to Lake Como.
Oh?
Ingrid Bergman was America's saint in 1949. Fresh off Joan of Arc, she was the embodiment of purity, wholesome beauty, and moral perfection. Then, she met Italian director Roberto Rossellini while filming Stromboli, fell madly in love, and got pregnant while still married to her first husband. The American public absolutely lost their minds. This wasn't just gossip. This was perceived as a betrayal of everything she represented. Senator Edwin Johnson went on the floor of Congress and called her a horrible example of womanhood and a powerful influence for evil. He wanted her banned from America entirely. The Catholic Legion of Decency condemned her. Her movies were pulled from theaters. RKO tried to salvage Stromboli with a massive publicity campaign, but audiences stayed away in protest. The film bombed spectacularly, losing over $1 million. Bergman was exiled from Hollywood for 7 years, forced to work in Europe while her name became synonymous with scandal. Her marriage to Rossellini eventually fell apart, which the press covered with gleeful schadenfreude. What's wild is that by modern standards, she just fell in love and left her marriage, something that happens constantly. But in 1950, it was enough to destroy her reputation completely. When she finally returned to Hollywood in 1956 for Anastasia, the Academy gave her another Oscar, a public act of forgiveness and redemption. But those 7 years in exile showed just how brutally the industry punished women for living outside the accepted script. Male stars had affairs constantly and faced zero consequences. But Bergman dared to love the wrong man at the wrong time, and America made her pay for it. Charlie Chaplin's. Charlie Chaplin was the biggest star in the world, but by the 1940s, America was turning on him. First came his politics, publicly supporting Soviet Russia and refusing to become an American citizen despite living there for decades. Then came Joan Barry, an aspiring actress who claimed Chaplin was the father of her child. Chaplin denied it. Blood tests proved he wasn't the father, but California law at the time didn't allow blood tests as evidence, so the jury found him responsible anyway and ordered him to pay child support for a kid that scientifically wasn't his. The trial was a circus, with prosecutors painting Chaplin as a predator and Barry as an innocent victim, even though she had a history of mental instability and had broken into his house multiple times. But the scandal didn't end there. The FBI, under J. Edgar Hoover, launched a full investigation into Chaplin, convinced he was a communist threat. They dug through his entire life, his relationships, his politics, his finances, trying to build a case for deportation. In 1952, while Chaplin was traveling to London for the premiere of Limelight, the Attorney General revoked his re-entry permit, effectively exiling him from America. Chaplin decided not to fight it and settled in Switzerland with his wife Una O'Neill, 36 years his junior, and daughter of playwright Eugene O'Neill. He wouldn't return to America until 1972, when the Academy finally gave him an honorary Oscar, a standing ovation that lasted 5 minutes, and an official apology from a nation that had turned its back on him. The scandal destroyed his American career, but couldn't erase his legacy. Still, it showed how quickly genius could be discarded when politics and morality collided.
Oh, Mark, never let me go.
Never.
Lana Turner. Lana Turner was Hollywood royalty in 1958, a glamorous star with a history of tumultuous romances. Then came Johnny Stompanato, a mobster and bodyguard for gangster Mickey Cohen, who charmed Turner into a relationship that quickly turned violent. Stompanato was controlling, abusive, and threatened Turner constantly, jealous of her career and her fame. On April 4, 1958, Turner's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed Stompanato to death during a heated argument between him and her mother. Cheryl claimed she did it to protect her mother from his threats and violence. The police came, the press went wild, and the trial became a media sensation. The courtroom was packed, photographers swarmed, and every detail was splashed across front pages nationwide. Turner testified, dressed in gray and dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief, describing the abuse and fear that had consumed her life. The jury ruled it justifiable homicide, and Cheryl was cleared. But the scandal didn't end there. Rumors exploded that Turner had actually killed Stompanato herself and let her daughter take the fall, a theory that persists to this day with zero evidence. Mickey Cohen held a public funeral for Stompanato, milking the publicity and attacking Turner in the press. Turner's career somehow survived. Her next film, Imitation of Life, became one of her biggest hits, with audiences drawn by the scandal as much as the story. But the killing haunted Turner forever. She wrote about it in her autobiography, insisting her daughter acted to save her, and that the violence she endured was real. The scandal exposed the dark side of Hollywood glamour and showed that fame couldn't protect anyone from violence or tragedy. Confidential magazine and the scandal rag. Confidential magazine launched in 1952 and immediately became Hollywood's worst nightmare. Publisher Robert Harrison created a gossip rag that didn't just hint at scandals. It printed names, dates, photos, and graphic details that the studios spent millions trying to hide. At its peak, Confidential sold over 5 million copies per issue, outselling Time and Newsweek combined. Every major star lived in fear of being Confidential's next target. The magazine exposed affairs, drinking problems, hidden relationships, and anything else that could destroy a carefully crafted image. Maureen O'Hara was falsely accused of a public indiscretion in a theater, a story that devastated her reputation despite being completely fabricated. Dorothy Dandridge, Elizabeth Scott, and Tab Hunter all saw their private lives dragged into the headlines. The studios fought back, feeding Confidential dirt on smaller stars to protect their bigger names, a disgusting game of sacrifice and survival. But Harrison went too far. In 1957, the state of California charged Confidential with criminal libel and conspiracy to publish obscene material. The trial was explosive, with Hollywood stars testifying about the damage Confidential had caused. Dorothy Dandridge broke down on the stand. Maureen O'Hara provided evidence that she was in Spain when Confidential claimed she was in Los Angeles, completely destroying their story. The jury deadlocked, but Harrison agreed to tone down the magazine as part of a settlement. Confidential never recovered its power. By 1958, circulation collapsed, and the magazine folded soon after. But the damage was done. Confidential had proven that privacy was an illusion and that no one in Hollywood was safe from exposure. It also paved the way for modern tabloid culture, where the line between public interest and invasion of privacy is constantly blurred.
I hate to repeat the obvious, but you are beautiful.
Errol Flynn's. Errol Flynn was the swashbuckling king of Hollywood, starring in classics like The Adventures of Robin Hood and Captain Blood. But in 1942, two teenage girls accused him of crimes that could have ended everything. Betty Hansen and Peggy Satterlee both claimed Flynn had engaged with them when they were underage, and the Los Angeles district attorney brought charges. The trial was front-page news for months, with Flynn's reputation hanging by a thread. The prosecutor painted Flynn as a predator who used his fame to exploit young women. The Flynn's defense attorney, Jerry Giesler, the best lawyer in Hollywood, dismantled the prosecution's case, piece by piece, exposing inconsistencies in the girls' testimonies and suggesting they were motivated by money and publicity. The jury deliberated for 13 hours and found Flynn not guilty on all counts. Flynn walked free, his career intact, but the phrase, "in like Flynn," entered the American lexicon, a crude reference to his reputation as a womanizer. The trial didn't destroy Flynn, but it marked the beginning of his decline. His drinking escalated, his performances became erratic, and by the 1950s, his star had faded. When he died in 1959 at just 50, from a heart attack brought on by years of substance use, the scandal was part of his legacy. The trial also exposed Hollywood's double standard. The male stars could survive accusations that would have annihilated a woman's career, and the system protected them accordingly. Flynn's acquittal reinforced the idea that fame could shield you from consequences, a lesson Hollywood learned well.
That may be Father. If he found you here, he'd kill you.
Frances Farmer. Frances Farmer was brilliant, beautiful, and uncompromising, a talented actress who refused to play Hollywood's game. That refusal destroyed her. By the early 1940s, Farmer was battling studios over roles, fighting with her controlling mother, and struggling with alcohol. When she was arrested for drunk driving in 1942, she allegedly told the judge to go to hell, sparking a media firestorm. Farmer was declared mentally ill, committed to an institution, and subjected to horrific treatments including insulin shock therapy, and potentially even a lobotomy, though this last claim remains disputed. For years, she was locked away, her career obliterated, her spirit broken. The studios abandoned her completely. When she was finally released in the late 1940s, Farmer tried to rebuild her life, working small TV roles and stage productions. But the damage was irreversible. Her story became a cautionary tale about what happened to women who didn't conform, who fought back, who refused to smile and obey. Jessica Lange later portrayed Farmer in a 1982 biopic that brought her tragic story back into public consciousness. But by then, Farmer had been dead for 12 years. She died in 1970, largely forgotten, a brilliant talent destroyed by an industry that demanded submission. Farmer's scandal wasn't about a crime or an affair. It was about the systematic destruction of a woman who dared to challenge authority, and it remains one of Hollywood's most shameful chapters.
Mr. Powell.
A strange woman is a narrow pit.
Amen.
Robert Mitchum's marijuana. Robert Mitchum was the ultimate bad boy, a tough guy actor who didn't care what anyone thought. In 1948, police raided a house in Laurel Canyon and arrested Mitchum for possession of marijuana, along with actress Lila Leeds. The arrest was front-page news and the studio heads assumed Mitchum's career was finished. RKO even considered canceling his contract. Mitchum was sentenced to 60 days in jail, serving 50 days on a prison farm, and the press covered every moment of his fall. But something unexpected happened. Audiences didn't abandon Mitchum. They loved him even more. His bad boy image became part of his appeal, a rebellious edge that made him more authentic than the sanitized stars Hollywood usually promoted. When he was released, his films made even more money than before. Rachel and the Stranger, released during the scandal, was a massive hit. Mitchum later revealed that the entire arrest might have been a setup, a conspiracy by the district attorney to boost his own career by taking down a famous actor, though this was never proven. The scandal didn't destroy Mitchum because he never pretended to be perfect. He embraced his outlaw image, and Hollywood learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes scandal sells. Mitchum went on to have a legendary career spanning 5 decades, starring in classics like The Night of the Hunter and Cape Fear, and when he died in 1997, he was remembered as one of the greatest actors of his generation. His marijuana arrest became a footnote, a wild story from a wilder time.
Then you are a false coward who believes in nothing.
Elizabeth Taylor, Eddie Fisher, and Debbie Reynolds. In 1958, Elizabeth Taylor was grieving. Her husband, producer Mike Todd, had died in a plane crash, and she was devastated. Enter Eddie Fisher, a famous singer and close friend of Todd's, who came to comfort the grieving widow. But comfort turned into romance, and Fisher was married to Debbie Reynolds, America's sweetheart at the time. When the affair became public, the nation exploded with outrage. Taylor was painted as a homewrecker, a seductress who stole her best friend's husband. Reynolds played the victim perfectly, posing with her children for sympathetic photo spreads, while Fisher looked like a fool, abandoning his wholesome wife for a glamorous temptress. The scandal dominated headlines for months. Theater owners boycotted Taylor's films. Religious groups condemned her. Gossip columnists like Hedda Hopper attacked her relentlessly, calling her a moral disaster. But Taylor didn't care. She married Fisher in 1959, and for a brief moment, it seemed like they might make it work. Then came Cleopatra in 1962, where Taylor fell for Richard Burton and she left Fisher for Burton in an even bigger scandal. Fisher's career never recovered. He was the punchline of Hollywood's most famous love triangle. Reynolds rebuilt her image and became a beloved legend. And Taylor? She proved that scandal couldn't touch her. She won 2 Oscars, married Burton twice, and lived her entire life on her own terms, refusing to apologize for anything. The scandal showed that the public loved to judge, but if you were talented and fearless enough, you could survive anything. So there you have it, 10 scandals that proved old Hollywood was messier than any script they ever filmed. Which scandal shocked you the most? Did Arbuckle deserve what happened to him, or was he Hollywood's first scapegoat? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And here's the real question. Were these scandals really about justice, or were they just the price of fame in an industry built on secrets and lies?